All right, another talking head video. Yeah, but this is going to be a good one. Trust me. It's a movie review, a movie that right now you can get on Hulu. It's a Hulu production. So if you have Hulu, there you go. And also, if it's at the theaters, I highly recommend you go see this one at the movie theater if you're a theater goer, because I'll tell you, much different experience than if you watch it at home. You know that. So anyway, let's get going. The movie's called Summer of Soul. Summer of Soul. You might have seen it promoted. This is an amazing, incredible film. It's already in my top 5 music documentaries all time. I have seen very few music documentaries that moved me as much as this one, as exciting as this one, and gave me catharsis. Folks, that's like an emotional breakthrough that you have in therapy. Sometimes you spend years and thousands of dollars to get. I got it in one movie 3 times. Had a catharsis. This film, there's a couple of white people in the movie, but this film is mostly African-American Black people. And the terms get thrown around, and you know, in my mind, I never know what do people want to be called mostly. They want to be called Black. You know, Negro went out at the end of that decade, the 60s. They stopped using the word Negro, and Black became the adopted term that Black people pretty much seem to have chosen. I guess collectively, I don't know, it wasn't a vote, but it seemed like the term kind of went. But now it seems like we've also got some ideas that maybe it ought to be African Americans, Black, you know, the idea of Black, white. There's all this connotation that somehow eludes us, but it's a labeling, and it's in our minds, it's in the subconscious. And so terminology or vernacular we use today, you know, Black and white, I mean, it's very powerful words. And when you apply it also to people and you label up people Black, or are you saying they're no good because they're Black? Come on. So I get it that there's some controversy right now, ambiguity about the term. But in the movie, it's very much called the Black Woodstock. And so we're going to go with that for the sake of this review. And that's pretty much the term I normally use anyway, because Black is a whole lot easier to say than African American. But just for convenience, hey, you know, we're going to use that today. So the film, it has about 300,000 Black people. I've never seen a movie with this many Black people in the movie. And I'll tell you what, and I am not lying, I was brought up in the South to kind of think Black people were definitely inferior. That's what I was taught by my culture, my friends, my family, my church, school, everywhere I went. It was all white suburbia, and I was taught Black people were inferior and to look at them differently. Somehow they're misfigured, they don't look right. Okay, in this film, I saw every Black face is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This is a beautiful film about a time that was very turbulent in America. 1968, we had the assassination of Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King, both back to back. There have been riots all over. There were riots there in Harlem also. The movie itself is a concert that happened around the same time Woodstock Festival happened. Well, Woodstock happened, you know, mid-August of 1969, and it's history now. Everybody knows about that one. This movie was also filmed around that time. They didn't have the budget to have lights, so it was all filmed during the daytime, not at night, but in a big central park there in Harlem that's been now renamed Marcus Garvey Park, but at the time I believe it was Morris Park. And the gathering was incredible. This man that put it all together, basically he just did a phenomenal job of gathering some of the greatest talent of that time, and quite a combination of different musical talents as far as their genre and their style, just as it was Woodstock itself. The Woodstock Festival had many different kinds of performers, and that's what happened here. And they're all Black entertainers, and it's a huge gathering of Black people, and you see them just moved by this incredible music. It's a very simple stage, just says festival in the background, one microphone, and everybody's playing up there and moving around. And this happened actually over 2 months. 8 weekends they had this thing. But in the film, you don't really get the sense of that too much. It plays out one act after another, and you see some incredible acts of musical, just virtuosity, power, soul, love. The people at the time were expressing their just sick and tired of being oppressed for so long. And now it's modern day, it's 1969, and there's still all this discrimination and racism going on in New York and around the country, United States. So people are demanding change. They're trying to do it the best they can peacefully without burning and rioting and looting. But that comes when you reach the boiling point. You know how it is for anybody. You reach the boiling point, you just explode. I don't care who you are. A rage comes out because you can only contain that kind of rage so long. And I think people of color, Black people, have contained that a very long time. And they've demonstrated in the movie that a lot of how they did it was through their music. Their music was a way for catharsis for them. It's odd that they mentioned that in the movie just a few minutes after I'm sitting there having a cathartic moment, one of my three. And I'll just describe them briefly, folks. It was just the music that touched me so deeply, particularly Mahalia Jackson when she's singing. Gladys Knight and the Pips, the women singers mostly, Nina Simone towards the end. And of course, Sly and the Family Stone and Stevie Wonder. And then Sonny Chirac. I mean, there were just some performances that were electrifying. Now, this is also a documentary that puts together footage of the time. So you see little clips in between of what was going on in the city at that time and the culture. You see people acting very real. This is not an actor movie. There's no acting in it. It's all real people. And it is just astonishing. It's electrifying to me. I was moving in my seat the entire movie. I mean, the sound, the audio was very, very good. So I'm glad I saw it in a big movie theater. At home, I mean, it's still going to play well. You're still going to love it, but just not going to be the same experience. So don't kid yourself. But seeing it with an audience, mostly white people in the audience. I didn't really see any black people in the audience to watch this movie. Sad, because I really think black people especially would enjoy seeing this part of their history that had been buried for 50 years. Yeah, this movie was made 50 years ago in 1969, over 50 years, and it's been buried, just was about to be thrown away. And Questlove, you know, he's the drummer in The Roots, you know, not Conan O'Brien, the other guy, Fallon, his show. He's the backup band, state house band. And The Roots, they've been around since 93, and he's a musicologist, this guy, I would call him. He's got 200,000 record albums. Okay, he's into film. He's very heavy, deep into film. I love this guy already. I didn't know as much about him until the movie came out, but Questlove is like a new profile model person, whatever, that I'd like to learn more about this guy. He just seems really, really awesome to me. And he's put together, with a lot of help from his friends, with editing and getting this old footage restored, to make a seamless movie that's going to give you an experience that's going to blow you out of your seats. I am not kidding you. It's 2 hours long, and I wish it had gone another 2 hours. I could have listened to this kind of music all day long. You're going to hear blues, jazz, soul, gospel, you know, just every kind of music that you can imagine, that people, that their ancestors who came from the continent of Africa, where there is a whole new thing that we're just learning about, that the ancient cultures in that continent, and what's woven in to the nature of the people themselves. And it's been carried through across over to the Americas, and generations later, there are still people, black people today in America, that are descendants from these people that have a certain energy and vitality that is very, very different than people of my skin color have, Caucasian people. It's just no, you know, when they talk about you ain't got soul, white people really don't have the soul like black people do, especially when it comes to the music and the dancing. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait for this movie to come out on DVD, to get the collector's edition and watch it many times. One of the most uplifting, beautiful films I have ever seen in my life. Don't miss it, The Summer of Soul.